Hello again, Mr. Fitri here, to talk again about our second vocabulary unit. So please continue on the worksheet where we left off, doing the same process. Again, with all of our classes, we're going to have this objective, but we're just continuing with these critical vocab words that we'll be using. So let's dive right into it with geology. Geology is the science of the earth, all right? And this includes the study of rocks and minerals. So a lot of this term is going to be focusing on the science of the earth, all right? That's why our class is called Earth Science. But we're going to look at, rocks and minerals, but also how the earth is formed and changes, all right? Now, a person who studies geology is called a geologist, all right? So maybe you're interested in the earth or how it works, or maybe you're interested in rocks and minerals, and you want to become a geologist. Next one here is gravity. The force that pulls an object towards the center of any object having mass. All right? So, thanks to gravity, you and I are able to stand firmly on Earth, all right? We don't go floating off into space. If we throw a ball, all right, it's going to come back to the ground, not again float off into space. This is because of gravity, all right? Our body has mass, a ball has mass, but the earth has a lot more mass. If we want to think about it in a larger perspective, all right, the earth has a greater mass than the moon. The moon has, the gravitational pull of the earth keeps the moon circling or going around us, all right? The same with the interaction between the sun and the earth. Right, the sun has a lot more mass than the earth, and the earth is being pulled towards that center of gravity of the sun. All right, that's why we are able to orbit the sun. Right, that means go around the sun. Now, horizontal. All right. Pardon the police siren behind me. I am recording this in my apartment, so we hear the Bangkok life behind us, don't we? So, next vocab word here is horizontal. Horizontal is a straight line that goes left to right. The opposite of horizontal is vertical, and that goes up and down. So this is a vocab word that I think we will be using not only in science but also in math. All right, and you can think about this in terms of like an x-y axis if you're thinking about it in mathematical or math terms. A hypothesis. All right, I'm sure you have learned about a hypothesis before, not only in perhaps your English classes, but also in your Thai classes, of course. But this is not just a science method, perhaps, okay? You could form a hypothesis about a lot of things, okay? However, when we specifically look at it in terms of science, all right, we call it also a theory, and it's a proposed explanation and the starting point for further study which can be tested. Okay, that's a critical point there at the end, which can be tested. All right, in science, we need to test our hypotheses to see if they are true or not, or maybe what parts of a hypothesis are true or not. So when we think about this, we think about it in terms of the scientific method, which we see on the right there. All right, so we begin by asking a question. All right, okay, why does this do that? We do some background research on the different components of our question. Then we construct a hypothesis. All right, how is this relationship? How does this relationship interact with that relationship? I don't know. Whatever your hypothesis might be. Then you test your hypothesis by doing an experiment. Okay. Again, that comes back to that definition, which can be tested. After testing, you analyze the data. All right, you analyze the information you learned from that test, and you draw a conclusion. All right, you think, okay, what happened here? And then you report your results. Was your hypothesis correct or not? What could you change? What could you do in the future to see if maybe this didn't work but that worked? All right, it's a very long process to determine the scientific method, which we'll look a little bit at throughout our course. Coming back to the opposite of decrease, which we learned in the last class. All right, this is increase, to become greater in size or amount, etc. Then we got inorganic. Something that is inorganic is not from living matter. Okay? So we're going to look at minerals in the second unit of this class. And the one critical thing about minerals is that they are inorganic. They do not come from living matter, okay, or once living matter. So we'll look at that difference later on. Another opposite word, interior, means inside. Last time we talked about exterior, which meant outside. Now, for these two terms, we can think about it, let's say about our home, the interior of my home is very comfortable and cool, all right? So that means the inside. You could talk about the exterior. Oh, the exterior of my house has many trees or plants or grass. Talking about the outside. When it will come to this class, we'll be talking about the interior of the earth, so inside of the earth, and the exterior, okay, the outside of the earth, where you and I live. Speaking about the interior and the exterior, we're going to look here at lava. Lava is what magma is called when it reaches the surface of the earth, above ground, the exterior of the earth. Okay? Now we're going to look at magma in a moment, so if you're curious what magma is, wait one moment. Again, going back to this states of matter chart, all right, we're going to look at liquid. Liquid is a substance that flows and whose shape, but not volume, can be changed. Okay? Again, you think about water, all right? we can put it into any vessel, a bowl, a bottle, a glass, a beaker, a vial, whatever you want to put it in, all right? The shape of it can change, but the amount, the volume of that water will not change, regardless of what it is put into. Now, the magma vocab word. Magma is a molten mixture of rock-forming substances, gases, and water below Earth's surface, underground, within the interior of the Earth. All right? Now that second word there, molten, all right, we will look at that, but it just means liquefied by heat. When we heat up something, make it so hot that it becomes a liquid. Next, mass, something you have covered, I know, in your previous science classes, is a measure of the amount of matter an object contains. Okay. Speaking about matter, matter is a physical substance. Again, both of these terms I know you've covered before, but they're critical in science, so we want to make sure we review them from time to time. Okay. Next one, meteorology. This is the study of weather. And a meteorologist is a person who studies the weather. All right? If you ever watch the news and you've got the man or woman on TV talking about, oh, the weather tomorrow will be sunny or rainy, that's a meteorologist, all right? They're looking at the weather, they're looking at trends, and they're informing you. Next is a mineral. A mineral is a naturally occurring solid. Now, we're going to have a whole unit on rocks and minerals, so if you're curious about minerals, wait a couple weeks. Molten, like I mentioned earlier, is made liquid by heat. All right, so that picture I posted there, that's liquid metal. All right, so they're taking, let's say, iron, and they're heating up that iron so hot that it becomes liquid, and then they can pour it in to make a mold or to make steel or whatever they need to do. Okay, so yeah, and molten can be metal, or in terms of the earth, can be rocks. All right, that's what makes up magma and lava. Okay, liquid rocks. Next, moon. All right. A moon is a small object that orbits a bigger object in space. Okay. Now, we, of course, have our moon, all right, the smaller object that orbits the Earth, which is bigger. But if you look at that picture, and we will talk about this, but other planets have moons as well. Some have many, many moons. Some have none. All right, so we'll look at that later. If you're curious, the last unit of this term will be on space. So we'll be looking at planets and solar systems and galaxies and da-da-da-da-da. All right, last two. Again, I'm sorry about the length of this video here, but Now, last one here, oceanography, the study of the ocean. And an oceanographer is a person who studies oceanography. Now, we will have a small piece on oceanography, but if you're curious about it, if you're interested in it, there are a lot of different areas in which you can study oceanography. Okay, but we'll discuss those different, let's say, career fields or career paths when we get to oceanography. Okay, so I'm sorry again that this was a little long, but we're plowing through these vocab words. We have one more class on vocab words, and then we'll move on to our first unit. Please, again, translate those words into Thai to help you better understand these topics. And don't forget that we will have a small test on this. So please review them. Please study them. Thanks so much. Have a good day.